Hey guys, I'm Charlie Simpson. You're watching Bring the Noise. I'm very excited to be unleashing Young Pilgrim on the world on the 15th of August because it's just felt like a real long time coming. I mean, I started writing this record end of 2009 and now we're halfway through 2011, so it's been a long time. I mean, it took me about 6 months to write, so I ended up writing quite a few songs, and then 3 months to record it, so it just feel like I just really want to get out now. It's like, you know, I've lived with it for so long and now I want kind of other people to hear it, so it's a really exciting time, and I can't wait for people to get a copy. The recording process for this was different. I mean, I think with Firestar, it's a whole different thing. 'Cause, you know, we're all in the studio together, and the difference is with this is that I could kind of do whatever I wanted, and not really, you know, obviously there's a kind of democracy the better way a band works, and that's nice. I think what's nice about a band is that everyone brings their own ideas, and you kind of feed off each other's energy in the studio. But with this, it was very much just me and Danton Supple, the guy that produced it. And it was nice to have that freedom to just think, I'm going to go over to the piano or over to this synth keyboard or whatever. You know, we've got loads of old analog gear out and just play it. And if it sounded cool, then I could be like, okay, I'm just going to put that on the record because I didn't need to run it past anyone. So that was kind of nice to have that freedom and I've never really had that before. But it was great fun recording, man. I mean, 3 months of just sitting in this studio in South London called State of the Art, which has got so many like vintage guitars and amps and stuff, and I literally was just like a kid in a candy store, to be honest. Just really enjoyed the process. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, we get on so well, and we always have such a laugh in the studio. So yeah, you know, I did miss that, but it was a very focused. It meant I could be probably more focused by just doing it on my own. But you know, I still had a great time. It was very relaxed, and I think the relaxed nature of the recording process shows itself on the record. Yeah, I think you can hear that. I mean, the thing with Parachutes is it's like a journey, and it is relating to a relationship, but in my mind I don't think it is a relationship. It's just life in general, you know. I think I equated it into relationships. I think that's the easiest form for people to understand it, but really it's just your journey through life, and you look back and it's kind of just, you know, weighing things up at certain points in your life. You look back and say, oh, you know, it's very retrospective, and I think a lot of the lyrics on this album are retrospective of the kind of journey I've been on and my life up until this point. And that's why it's nice that I've been able to, you know, I'm still quite young, 26, but I think I've kind of done enough to really be able to write an album like that. Whereas I think if I was kind of 17, I wouldn't really have been able to. So I think it's the first point in my life now that I can kind of look back and think, oh, that's the first quarter of my life, you know, and be able to kind of talk about it. I guess so. I always just, I didn't really think about it, to be honest. I wanted it to be quite smart, just because I think that kind of fits the mood of what I'm doing. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't really a conscious decision. I think it's just something that I thought would be appropriate, you know, in those videos. But I mean, as I say, videos are quite styled anyway. You know, you're much more than what you're going to just be doing, you know, wearing on stage or wearing day to day. Like, you know, I think that's just something that was, you know, I thought would work well in the video. For me, this, you know, Firestar and this are my kind of two alter ego personalities, and I think that what's nice about this record is it's a representation of kind of me on my own and who I am. But yeah, you know, there's not really any other. If I did other projects in the future, it would be collaborative things with other people. but yeah, this is very much kind of representing me as a solo artist. It was strange. I mean, I love harmonies, man. One of my favourite things in music is harmony, and so I really wanted to push that on the record, and so it was kind of a lot of experimenting, man. When I was writing the songs, just layering up these harmonies, and I guess the vocals on this record. I mean, I did have to work hard to get the vocals. So I think, you know, I really wanted to get a nice, delicate balance on these tracks, and we spent quite a long time doing the vocals. But I'm really glad the way they came out, because, you know, there's a lot of emotion that's gone into the lyrics and gone into the way I sing these songs, and I think it really translates on the record. And I think we captured something which was really important for me for the record. I don't think so. I mean, the recording process was, sometimes we would get stuck on trying to get like a tone right, but it was more in the instrumentation. We never got stuck in the vocals. It just kind of came out, and it was relatively quick as well. I mean, we spent about 4 or 5 days doing vocals, which is pretty quick for, you know, an entire album. But I wanted to make sure I got all the main vocals down, and then after that we just went back and layered up all the harmonies. But the most important thing is the lead lines were just right, so we just spent time doing that, and then kind of went back and kind of then went through all the songs and started layering up the harmonies and stuff. I think that it has two sides. I think I think you can have positives and negatives, to be honest. I mean, it's great that, you know, the support that I've had, and I think that's really nice. But then, almost you've got to work harder, because you know, people can have preconceptions and stuff. And I think that any artist that is new is just kind of taking on that. But if you've done stuff in the past, then, you know, especially if what you're doing is different to something you've done in the past, then I think, in a sense, sometimes you have to work harder to get people's attention. But I mean, as you say, there is a platform where if you have done stuff in the past, that people will kind of listen to you straight away, which is definitely an advantage. Yes, that's slow but sure. Once Upon a Dead Man, it's going to be called. It's just the time, man. At the moment, I'm just so busy, and they're quite busy. And Will's just released this new album with Brigade. It's something we will definitely do at some point. It's just impossible at the moment to know when. I mean, we tried to set out this thing where we would basically do a session a month for 12 months, and then we thought, oh, in 12 months we'll have an album. But we've done 4 sessions. We've got 2 songs, so we're not quite there yet. But I mean, it's a work in progress. Yeah, well, it's just stuff that I was kind of hearing when I was much younger. You know, when I was about 10 or 11 years old, your dad starts putting on records, and that's the kind of first music you've been subjected to, and it just kind of stuck with me, you know. And I think that's where I got my kind of love of harmonies. I mean, even with Five Star Records, you know, we kind of, you know, worked a lot with big harmonies, and I think that whole kind of West Americana, 70s Americana stuff, it's just got so much soul, man, and that kind of stuck with me. But this was why I was so excited to do my solo record was I knew that this was going to be the platform for me to be able to you know, use those influences, because I wouldn't really have been able to do it otherwise. So it was nice to get the chance to really kind of go back and listen to all those records and kind of get inspired by that, because they're great records. Definitely, man. As I say, I couldn't have written this record before now. I think it's the first point in my life where I could have written a record like this. Because I've always written songs on acoustic. You know, growing up, I always wrote acoustic songs, but there's just a sense of kind of, I guess with any music that you make when you're younger. It's just that you listen back to it. It's that sense of kind of naivety, that innocence, which is like, oh, you're learning to be a songwriter, and you hear it with anyone that picks up a guitar and starts writing a song. It's always going to be the same. And I think you have to kind of mature and grow. And when you write a personal record, I think you have to be at a point where you can do that. And I think that I am at that point now. So I'm very proud of it. Oh, who knows, man? Who knows? I just want to make music, Firestar's very much still, together, and we'll come back and make another record at some point. But I want as many people to hear this record as possible. My whole focus is on this record because it's for the first time. It's just me, and I think that's an important thing to get right. And so, that's what I'm going to be focused on definitely for the next year or so. But as long-term future, I really don't know, man. It's an open book. But I'd love to get into film scoring at some point. I think that'd be great to do because I love films. And it's just, I guess, the point at which you change. If you start get married and have kids. I guess it's the things you weigh up as if you whether you want to keep going around the world touring or whether you want to do something different. So I think I've got a few years left of wanting to go around the world and do as much touring as possible. But then if there's a point where I think maybe I want to spend more time in one place, maybe readdress things then and see what happens.